The night sky over Manhattan shimmered with the glow of skyscrapers, their glass faces reflecting the pulse of the city that never slept, and on that particular evening the heartbeat of luxury thumped loudest outside an exclusive club on Fifth Avenue, a place where only the wealthiest and most powerful rubbed shoulders, where velvet ropes separated the important from the irrelevant, where arrogance was worn as confidently as tailored Armani suits, and where appearances mattered more than humanity itself. And into this glitzy carnival of wealth came Vanessa Carter, a tall, striking black woman in her early 30s whose very aura carried quiet authority, though the crowd in line, conditioned to judge worth by skin, diamonds, and last names, saw only what they wanted to see, a beautiful outsider who looked like she didn't belong. Vanessa had dressed elegantly in a form-fitting emerald gown that shimmered with understated grace, her braids woven into a crown-like style, her posture regal yet unassuming, her heels clicking softly against the pavement as she approached the VIP entrance with a gold-embossed invitation in hand, the kind that most people would sell their soul to obtain. But as she neared the velvet ropes, the bouncer stationed there, a burly man with arms like tree trunks and a smirk that seemed permanently etched onto his face, extended a hand in front of her chest and said the words he had been itching to say from the moment he saw her. "Sorry, VIP only," his tone flat and dismissive, his eyes already looking past her toward the giggling group of women behind her, women who happened to be white, dressed in glittering mini-dresses, and obviously not holding any invitations at all. Vanessa blinked, momentarily stunned, then calmly lifted the gold card in her hand and said, "I am invited, this was sent to me personally," her voice even and commanding in its quiet confidence, but the bouncer chuckled derisively, leaning in slightly as if to make sure she caught the full sting of his words. "Lady, we've had enough fakes tonight, this isn't for you, maybe try general admission around the back." And as if to underscore the cruelty of his dismissal, he unclipped the rope and waved the group of glittering women through, their high-pitched laughter trailing behind them like perfume as they cast sidelong glances at Vanessa, some smirking, some whispering, all certain she was being put back in her place. Vanessa's chest tightened, not with shame but with fury that she refused to let spill outward, for she had lived her entire life being told no, for reasons that had nothing to do with her merit. She had been doubted in classrooms when she outperformed her peers, underestimated in boardrooms when her ideas outshone those of men twice her age, dismissed by landlords, clerks, even strangers on the street. But tonight was supposed to be different. Tonight she had been invited as an honored guest. A signal that her hard work and brilliance had finally been acknowledged by the very circles that once shut her out, and yet here she stood, humiliated, her worth questioned, her dignity trampled in front of onlookers who alternated between pity and cruel amusement. The line of people waiting to enter began to murmur, some whispering things like, "She probably faked it," others snapping quick pictures on their phones, eager to post about the drama at the door. But Vanessa inhaled deeply, willing herself to stand tall, gripping the invitation so tightly her knuckles whitened as she repeated calmly, "This is real, I was told to check in here, and my name is on the list." But the bouncer only scoffed, shaking his head as if she were a stubborn child. Muttering under his breath, probably some wannabe influencer trying to sneak in, and he turned his body slightly to block her view, clearly signaling the conversation was over, his decision final. Vanessa considered pushing harder, demanding to speak to a manager, but she stopped herself, because deep down she knew something the bouncer did not. The night was far from over, and his arrogance was about to cost him more than he could imagine, because when you move through the world with quiet power, you don't need to argue or shout, you only need to wait for the right moment. And as if on cue, the distant rumble of engines reached her ears, subtle at first, drowned by the chatter of the crowd, but growing louder, heavier, until the ground itself seemed to hum beneath her heels. And Vanessa's lips curved into the faintest smile, one so subtle that no one noticed, because she knew exactly what that sound meant. The cavalry had arrived. Down the street, headlights pierced the night as a convoy of glossy black SUVs rolled toward the club, their tinted windows catching the neon lights in dark reflections, the kind of vehicles associated not with ordinary wealth but with true power, the kind that did not ask permission but commanded attention. And as they pulled to a smooth, synchronized stop at the curb, the once arrogant laughter around the line faltered, replaced by whispers of curiosity and awe. The bouncer, who moments ago looked smug and untouchable, straightened nervously, tugging at his tie as the first SUV door opened and a sharply dressed chauffeur stepped out, moving quickly to open the rear passenger door, and from the vehicle emerged none other than Marcus King, the billionaire investor whose face graced magazine covers, whose donations shaped universities and hospitals, whose name could bend markets and make politicians tremble, a man whose presence turned heads in every room. He entered, and the second his polished shoes hit the pavement, the crowd gasped audibly, cameras flashing, phones whipping into the air to capture the unexpected arrival of one of the world's most powerful men, but Marcus ignored them all, his eyes scanning the crowd with purpose until they landed on Vanessa, standing just beyond the velvet rope, her emerald gown glowing under the streetlights, her posture unbroken despite the humiliation she had just endured, and without hesitation Marcus strode past the rope, past the stammering bouncer who fumbled with words that would not come, and stopped directly before her, his tall frame exuding authority as he said warmly, "Vanessa, I was beginning to wonder where you were. I sent that invitation personally," his voice ringing out over the stunned silence of the crowd, and then, in a gesture that sent shockwaves through every onlooker, he leaned forward and embraced her lightly, a public display of familiarity and respect that shattered the assumptions of everyone who had dismissed her just moments earlier. The bouncer's jaw dropped, his face draining of color as Marcus turned sharply toward him, his expression hardening into steel. "Who kept her waiting?" he demanded, his voice low but dangerous, the kind of tone that promised consequences, and when the bouncer opened his mouth to stammer an excuse, Marcus cut him off with a glare so sharp it could slice through stone. "Unacceptable. She should have been the first person escorted inside. If this is how you treat my guests, then maybe you shouldn't be working here at all," the words carrying the weight of a sentence, each syllable a nail in the coffin of the bouncer's arrogance, and the onlookers collectively held their breath, some secretly thrilled to witness the mighty humbled, others wide-eyed with disbelief at how quickly the tables had turned. Marcus then turned back to Vanessa, offering his hand as though she were royalty, and together they stepped past the ropes while flashbulbs popped and murmurs filled the air, the crowd realizing with dawning awe that the woman they had mocked was not only worthy of the VIP entrance but central to the evening's entire event, for Vanessa Carter was not just another guest. She was the very reason Marcus King was there, the trusted strategist who had saved his empire from collapse months earlier when she brokered a deal overseas that no one else could, the woman whose name in quiet elite circles was spoken with a mixture of respect and fear, the kind of woman who didn't need to demand a seat at the table because powerful men like Marcus ensured she had one, and as they entered the club together, Vanessa's smile was serene, not triumphant or vengeful, but calm in the knowledge that she had once again proven what life had always tried to deny her, that she belonged, that she was unstoppable, and that those who blocked her path would always regret it, sometimes only seconds later, when the black SUVs arrived.